AOR News with Mike and Alex, where we are not for the faint of thought. Man, we got some key things to go over today, but nothing, not a lot for some reason. I didn't think this was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's, a lot of things that have been going on. Some of the stuff gets, overreported, so we try to skip over some of those things. But yeah, it is a little, I guess, call it an off week. Over here locally, we got, man, California's drought, has been there for, I don't know, 10 years or something almost. But this year we're making up for it. Lots of rain. I don't know if you saw there's a dam over here that's
Yeah, they're about to let it loose, right? Didn't they have evacuations or something?
yeah, it's the Orville Dam.
Mm-hmm.
It's potentially going to collapse. So, good infrastructure, United States. I guess they warned them like 10 years ago that the dam was not up to code. We didn't have the money.
So climate change is over.
Yeah.
Right? Climate change is over. Because first
Since
you fucking liberals in California. First, you guys are bitching that you have too much water and the dam's gonna collapse 10 years ago. When I lived there, we had flooding, like the floods of 1997, like right at the turn of the year. Then you guys are bitching that you don't have fucking snow and there's no water. And then now you guys have too much water. Can you libtards make up your minds?
a bunch of snowflakes over here.
God, well, yeah. Apparently now you have snowflakes. Last year Jerry Brown was complaining there wasn't enough snowflakes, so like skiing tourism was down for Big Bear and Yosemite and all that other shit. You guys, you scientists people can't keep your damn facts straight. This is ridiculous. I had an
Goddamn.
argument on Facebook. I'm quoting somebody.
Oh.
I had my first argument since Inauguration Day, actually.
Well, you're back on the horse, huh?
No, it reminded me every reason why I don't want to argue with anybody.
Yeah, I haven't gotten. I've probably been the same. No Facebook
All right,
arguments.
real quick. All right, here's what fucking happened. All right, here's what happened. So, a friend of mine was in an argument with a friend of his, somebody I've never met, and so we're gonna call the guy I'm talking to. We'll call him Frank. All right. So Frank starts yelling at a friend of mine, and he gives him the party of Lincoln shit. So I went on there and I said the only people that use the party of Lincoln like argument are people that don't know the history of Dixiecrats and the Great Shift that took place under LBJ. This guy denies that happened. Then posts an article from MSNBC, and the headline states that LBJ was not the nice man you thought he was a racist. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what the headline says. So he posts this article and he says, here is an article from a libtard source that you can't argue with about your hero, LBJ. All I said was that the shift happened under LBJ. I didn't say shit about this guy. I think you were telling me that he had an extra shower head for his second head. Weren't you telling me that?
He was obsessed with his penis, LBJ. He
Anyway.
would, yeah, I guess he would show it off to his office staff and the reporters.
All right. So anyway, this guy posts that article, and so I read the article. The first and second paragraph talked about how racist LBJ was. Paragraphs 3 through 7 talked about the Great Migration and shift in political parties with the Dixiecrats that he told me wasn't real. And I wrote him back. I said, sir, you remind me of Sean Spicer, who quoted The Onion because a headline made him sound good a week ago. You need to read more than the goddamn headline, because I could have posted this fucking article, you dipshit. I didn't call him a dipshit. It was I kept it very civil, but I can't. I asked him if he preferred alternative facts. Like, that's the world that we're living. I can't do it. And so I'm done. I don't want to argue with anybody. Like, there's certain things that people say. I have buttons. This guy pressed one without having any idea who the hell I am. So I can't help it. I'm kind of like, I got hit with his stray bullet is kind of what happened. And then I got angry, and then we started shooting at each other. And at the end of the day, it doesn't appear like either one of us chinked the other's armor. So there's no point anymore.
Yeah. The thing that frustrates me is I got a couple friends on Facebook. that they're older gentlemen, and they should have. I mean, they pretty much lived through that change of parties,
Right.
and they post those things, and it's like, what the hell?
Oh,
Like,
that it's liberal propaganda, that it's not real, that you can't look up these people and watch them change parties. It's
and,
all recorded, god damn it.
and somebody, another one. This guy always gets on my nerves. So he posted something about um, how Democrats protested Abraham Lincoln's inauguration as well. And I told them, like the point that those were conservatives that boycotted, not liberals.
Yes.
And he pointed out, well, how did you know that? And I'm like, well, it's called reading.
Yeah, there's books.
Like it's just like he's like, oh, his argument was, how did you know that you were not alive in the '60s? I'm like,
the '60s
when they shifted.
Oh, I was. So
Yeah.
you didn't point out to him that like books are for reading, not just for propping up your fucking coffee table. Here's the best part, and then we can go ahead with the news. But here is the best part. He was accusing the Democratic Party of, after I'd already told him I'm not a Democrat, I'm a liberal. I affiliate myself with the Democratic Party because it's the closest thing, but I'm a liberal. That there is a difference. He says that we are the most racist party. And when I say we, I'm saying Democrats, that this is the most racist party. And gives us a bunch of shit for supporting this fake progressive racist party. To which I reply, yes, the most racist party tried to back up the first black president with a female, but they are racist. Later on in the conversation, I bring up Obama, and he says that half-breed dipshit didn't accomplish anything. And I said, thank you for proving the point on how non-racist your party is. And to quote Bill Maher, not every Republican is racist, but if you're a racist and looking for a party, there's a place for you. Right up your own fucking ass. That's where you belong. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Move on. I got energy today for some reason. I haven't had energy in a while.
No, it's good to see some fire in your eyes again.
I haven't had it since November 9th. 2016, I think. That was when the fire died out.
Understandable. Okay, so first thing I got today, this is not exactly breaking news, but something we haven't really covered. So the main topic here is Melania Trump's lawsuit against the paper for $150 million. Basically, she's stating that by saying that they ran a story that she was a high-end escort, which is basically a prostitute.
That's how she met Donald Trump.
So potentially, but so just a little bit of the lawsuit. So the plaintiff, which is Melania, had the unique once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as an extremely famous and well-known person, as a former professional model and brand spokesman, to launch a broad-based commercial brand in multiple product categories, each of which could have garnered multi-million-dollar business relationships for multi-year terms, during which plaintiff is one of the most photographed women in the world. And then it goes on to name product categories that she could have potentially done: shoes, jewelry, cosmetics, hair care, fragrance, whatever. So basically she's saying she had an opportunity here as the first lady to make money and to profit off of it.
And like I said, they're not even being secretive about this shit. It's right there in front of you.
I just I don't understand. I mean, she's married to a billionaire. If I had $1 million and I didn't have to work or whatever, I just don't understand how these people just need more money. It's
don't forget, you'd be the first lady too. But I mean, but the thing is, it's like we were talking about last week with Nordstrom's pulling shit off the rack, and Ross has followed suit, and a few other retailers. of discontinuing Ivanka Trump's clothing line. That's what I don't get is like you're the first lady and you're bitching. Like Ivanka, I can see a little bit how she's upset because in a way she built her clothing line, good or bad, what the fuck ever, who cares? Like regardless of morality here. But Melania is the first mail order lady. I don't understand. Like, you have everything you want. You don't even have to see Donald anymore. He's not going to be pinching you with his tiny fingers. You're living in Trump Tower, which we will talk about here in a second. But still, they're not even hiding. They're not hiding the fact that this is all about making money. And God damn it, Melania, where is your whole anti-bullying effort? That's what she's supposed to be working on. What the fuck? I don't even, like, I need to find Trump supporters, even if they're conservative, right-wing, Republican Christians. I need to find those guys that go, I have my values, I stand by them, but this is not it. Because that's what needs to save us. If we're going to be saved before 2018, we need these fuckers to come out and stop this shit. There's nobody else that can do it. And I don't know. I think it's completely fucked up. Go ahead. Whatever. Go ahead.
No, definitely completely fucked up. And it's just a matter, like I said, of the rich trying to get richer. But speaking of the rich trying to get richer, the Department of Justice and the Secret Service are looking into renting space from Trump Tower to protect Melania and Barron Trump, as well as Donald when he takes his mini vacations. So they're looking at space. It looks like a story of the Trump Tower cost $1.2 to $1.5 million a year. So, I mean, it's obviously not cheap. And that will be taxpayer bills as well.
Not only that, I mean, it's costing several $1 million a month. That's the space. I mean, it's costing several $1 million a month for the protection, which not only is she getting, but Beavis and Butthead have been receiving that same protection as well, as they are going around the world conducting Trump businesses. You know, run the company, kids, have fun. We are also paying for their protection.
Yeah, it's amazing that we have Secret Service protecting them as well. It's amazing that we're allowing this family to run a business in a country the way that they're doing it. It's just it's unprecedented and illegal. So hopefully one of these lawsuits sticks.
Yeah, and we have our first royal family since our Declaration of Independence. That's basically what this has turned into. We have our first royal family.
Well, they're golden.
Showered.
Speaking of Russian prostitutes, Vladimir Putin is thinking of giving his good friend Donald a gift of Edward Snowden. So reports have came out that U.S. intelligence have got a couple. They've got wind that Vladimir Putin wants to do something.
Nice for Trump on Valentine's Day.
Yes, exactly. He took the shirtless photos, but I mean everybody's seen those, so
you need something a little more intimate.
It's not special. So it's a report, and Edward Snowden's lawyer says at this time, he has no expectation of being sent to the United States, but we'll monitor obviously the situation. Edward Snowden did tweet out, finally, irrefutable evidence that I never cooperated with the Russian intel. No country trades away spies, as the rest would fear their next. Obviously, talking about the next
the next whistleblower,
the next spy. Yes, I mean it's good, for Snowden, I guess, that he kind of cleared his name, or potentially. But just the fact that we have um, some potential uh, hostage trading going on over here between Putin and Trump, um, we'll have to see how that goes.
Um, yeah. When you said he sent pictures of shirtless pictures and it wasn't special, you were talking about Donald to Putin, right?
I would imagine Putin is more of the picture taker.
Well, Donald Trump is as well, but he's usually he's mouthing "you're fired" for some reason, but and probably mouthing something else with Putin. But all right, so next up we have our the ICE raids and Department of Homeland Security. So the Department of Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly reported arresting 680 undocumented citizens last week. This operation took place in over a dozen states. I have two sources. One said six, one said over a dozen, one said a dozen. This is coming from The Hill, The Washington Post, and one other source. So I don't know. We're gonna say about a dozen. So it took place in about a dozen states, and it's Trump's first step in keeping his deportation promise. The Department of Homeland Security and ICE are refusing to inform the media sources on the criminal records of the 680 people they rounded up, if they have any criminal records. But they did give examples of 13 individuals whose crimes ranged anywhere from murder to admitting affiliation with MS-13. Now let's talk a little bit about what happens when these guys are rounded up. The Tucson area of Tucson, Arizona, they've captured over 200,000 undocumented citizens over the last 5 years and held them in detention centers. But within those detention centers are cells, which they refer to as ice boxes. The people that work there refer to them as ice boxes, and they hold them in there for up to 72 hours. And this is according to DHS policy, they should not have anybody in those ice boxes for over 12 hours. The cells are kept at low temperatures, and all extra clothing, meaning jackets, sweaters, that sort of thing, are removed from citizens before they're placed in these cells. And what do they do when the detainees complain about the temperature in the so-called ice boxes? They lower the temperature even further as a punishment for those complaints. Not only that, just don't picture a bunch of men in here as if that should make it any better. What makes that worse is this is women and children. Sources have been cited as interviewing children who take their ration toilet paper that they're given and make beds to sleep on the floor. The National Immigration Law Center has actually filed a formal complaint in response to the treatment of these detainees. This is not it's not what the Statue of Liberty is. It's not what it's for. And again, the Statue of Liberty is a statue of a Middle Eastern woman, not an Anglo-Saxon Christian.
Yeah, and I guess to be fair to Trump, Obama deported a lot of undocumented
The most.
people. So, yeah, exactly. So, um, this is not anything spectacularly new, but I think um, the raid thing was maybe a new tactic to have a big, multi-state thing like that. It was interesting because I was seeing on my Facebook people in Southern California kind of warning other people, I guess basically like the protocol if ICE comes to your door.
Yeah, that's been traveling around.
So yeah, brace yourselves, I guess, for more to come.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know we've gone over them on this show before. But I encourage everyone that when you guys are talking to people about illegal immigration, to just remind them that they do drive wages up, and that is, Forbes magazine even cites that as true. Not only that, even though they are undocumented, they still pay payroll taxes. If they're not being paid under the table, if they use identity fraud to get hired on, they're not filing for their taxes, but their taxes are still being taken out. And that amount goes over $12 billion a year. So it's just, and look at Kentucky. Kentucky rounded up every illegal immigrant and basically scared them off, and their economy is in shambles right now. Fuck you, Turtlehead Mitch McConnell. They are not doing well because that was supposed to be the poster state for what a conservative society can bring to the United States, and their entire productivity on their farmlands and everything that all the jobs that illegal immigrants usually take. It all went down. The productivity went through the floor because they got these lazy white people that they hired, where it takes 3 of them to do the job of 1, and they get caught most of the time sleeping or taking excessive smoke breaks. So, I encourage everybody to look that stuff up, just so you're well informed on actually why we do need illegal immigrants, or I don't like using illegal immigrants, undocumented citizens. So, but moving on, the GOP is still, they're kind of getting it handed to them right now. So there's been several GOP town halls from different representatives throughout the country. Most notably, and the one we're going to talk about is Jason Chaffetz, but they're getting booed pretty much off stage to the point to where they can't even speak at their own meetings by their own supporters. So, I mean, like I said, most noticeably, Jason Chaffetz of Utah, who is also the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, was, I'm exaggerating, but he was nearly lynched by a mob of 1,000 people that were in the building. It was in an auditorium at a college in Salt Lake City. And just remember, he's been the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, and he, along with Trey Gowdy and the rest of them, grilled the shit out of Hillary Clinton on Benghazi. Just a reminder, Alex and I do not like Hillary Clinton at all. However, Benghazi is a load of horse shit. So he grills her. They had, I don't even remember, 8 investigations into Benghazi, I think. Mm-hmm. So he grills her over Benghazi, and when people ask him, what the hell, 8 hearings, isn't that enough? He says that everybody should be held accountable, but his supporters are pissed off because he is not, as chairman of the Oversight Committee, holding Trump accountable. And he's even excusing Trump's refusal to release his tax returns when he was asked by the audience why he's not pressing Trump to release those tax returns. He says there is no law forcing him to do so. Got booed by the crowd. Now, that is correct. Releasing tax returns by presidential candidates is just something that's been done, and it was started by our most honest president. You're probably thinking of Abraham Lincoln, but no, I am talking about Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was one of the first people to start releasing his tax returns. And so therefore, Richard Nixon, Mr. Crook, was actually a little more transparent than, as Busta Rhymes would say it, Agent Orange. So it's complete hypocrisy, and their own Republican followers are not following it. I mean, he got booed with that. The crowd inside was chanting "Do your job" the whole time, and they had many people, a few thousand people outside that couldn't make it in, that were chanting "We will be back." The most interesting part about this whole ordeal here that's taking place at all these town halls is this was the foreshadowing for the Tea Party of the right. This is what we started seeing happening to the GOP when the Tea Party started to rise up. So it looks like the left is hopefully going to start getting their wish, because liberal people and Democrats were also in there. He even got into an argument with a woman basically saying that Planned Parenthood saved her life, and the entire crowd cheered her on. A room of Republicans cheered her on.
Yeah, I think just from personal experience, I doubt that it was a room full of Republicans. I'm sure that some of them were there, but I think right now what we're getting is, the left is awake, and they're going out in these districts that are have a Republican representative, and mine, is the same. So I know people that are going to Jeff Denham's meetings or town halls. And it's mostly, they said there were 7 people there and 6 of them were progressive. So I think right now the resistance is strong and in full effect, and it's great. But I think the right is definitely feeling it, which is
And I hope they continue to.
yeah, exactly.
Because like we said, I mean, Trump could be the best possible thing that could have happened with this country if it's handled correctly. If this yanks the far right wingers a little more towards the center, and when people finally start getting sick of him, it has pulled a lot of people together. And our biggest message that we have had since we started doing politics on this show about 3 months into it has been it's all about the money. It's not about your race. It's not about your gender. It's not about what bathroom you're allowed to use. It's not about your sexual orientation. It's not about any of that. It's all about money. That shit only matters to you because you're told that it does. They don't give a shit. Like George Carlin said, keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank. That's all it is. Speaking of going to the bank and spending money, Kellyanne dipshit fucking Conway over here. We're late to the finish line on this, but I don't really care. It deserves to be talked about because that fucking crypt keeper that hasn't slept apparently in the last 4 months that brought us the wonderful term alternative facts. And I'm glad she did because she gave us a label for blatant ignorance and stupidity, which she does a great job of embodying. So she broke the law, and this is one of the reasons why Chaffetz specifically in Utah, why people were so angry with him, is because he's letting her off pretty easy for breaking a law. And the law that she broke happened last week when Kellyanne Conway was on Fox and Friends defending Ivanka Trump against the horrible and terribly unfair Nordstroms for pulling her merchandise. And Nordstrom said it was because nobody's buying it. Perhaps nobody's buying it because her father husband is a piece of shit. Or maybe it's just because she sucks at her job as far as fashion goes. I don't know. Regardless of the case, Trump came out and tweeted that she's being treated very unfairly and she always pushes me to do the right thing and all this other shit. We all know that you know your daughter wife is always your better half. We're aware of that. But Kellyanne Conway went on Fox and Friends defending her and said she's going to give her, and I'm quoting, a free commercial and to go out and buy Ivanka Trump's merchandise, which is illegal for a federal employee to endorse a business, especially when it comes to the so-called royal family.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this. You would hope that the people put in charge had a little more common sense, but apparently Ivanka spanked her for it, and she's furious about it and told her not to ever discuss, her business or anything ever again. So, yeah, it was illegal, and it looks like nothing's gonna come from it. But
and it looks like in response, Joe Biden's daughter is launching her own clothing line with clothes that are actually made in America. All of it. No production outside of the United States. How's that for tickling your Republican prostates? Want to buy American? Buy Biden. So, now we got some scary stuff we got to get into, right?
Yeah, we'll be quick because, I mean, this happens every couple months, but North Korea fired off another rocket the other day. It was successful. It landed in the Sea of Japan. I mean, like I said, it's been happening for past couple months. I mean, every couple months they fire one off. I think this is one of the few successful ones. Usually they kind of blow up in their face.
Well, yeah, they were on that the air pump one where they hooked up the bike pump. I saw pictures of that. It had to be true. But can somebody just like give this Asian imp a toy ballistic missile that he can play with in the bathtub or in the pool, because he still uses floaties. I'd bet money he does not know how to swim. I bet you any dollar amount he does not know how to swim. But I mean, you're right. This is their second attempt at firing a ballistic missile, and the UN, the United Nations, has condemned this test and threatened, quoting here, more significant measures will be used if the testing does not stop.
I think the important thing is China and Russia both condemned them
As long as
for.
China did. Fuck Russia.
Yeah.
I can give a fuck, but China needs to get on board here.
The problem is both of them are their allies. So really, that's all North Korea really has is Russia and China. If the whole rest of the world's against them, um, but they have the two United States enemies as their friends.
Yeah.
So they're in some kind of position
And
to
China
negotiate.
shouldn't really be our enemy too much. I mean, it only is, and this is one of the things the UN said was that this is Lil Kim's direct challenge to Donald Trump. That's the way that they're taking this. But Trump, Donnie don't take no shit, and he said very strongly, North Korea is a very big problem, and we will deal with them strongly. So, I wonder if that means they're on notice. Maybe.
I mean, I just to me it's been recently the country that's posed because their leader is so erratic, right? It just to me it's one of our greatest threats to the world.
That's what Bernie
I
said.
mean, and I'm not just biased because I'm in the potential long range missiles radius.
Yeah, it's gonna come to you first.
But no, I mean, he's trying to develop nuclear weapons. He keeps shooting them off, and he says he wants to destroy America. I mean, that's a pretty scary notion.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the tough guy Donald Trump handles this. The crazy part is, I mean, how the hell do you fix a country where its whole population is starving to death? It's just there's no easy fix if you go in there and take out the leader. I mean, he's like a god to these people. So
Yeah.
it's
What the scariest part about this whole thing is this is a challenge to Trump, and it directly concerns the United States specifically over really any other country. And you, instead of having a crazy person on one end being Lil Kim, and then a level-headed person being Obama or even George fucking W at this point, you now have two mentally unstable people, now both with nuclear weapons, that are on either side of this problem. That's the scariest part about the whole thing, is neither one of these two, and they both claim to have really large penises. I think Kim Jong-un is quoted as saying that his is 10 inches long, which means it has to drag on the floor. Maybe that's why having a big dick makes him angry. He's got a calloused head. I don't know. But the thing is for these two big fucking tough guys, it's just, there's no way this is gonna go well. We need, hopefully Britain and other people are getting involved in negotiations, because I'm not gonna lie, I worry a lot about every time I go to read the news or anything like that I'm gonna hear that there's a fucking nuclear bomb heading, or nuclear missile heading somewhere. Because again, we can't trust President Man Baby's temperament.
Yeah. And I mean, this one's a lot at stake here. So good luck.
Yeah, and okay, so one last thing here before we leave. I watched the Grammys last night. You didn't watch the Grammys, right? You don't do award shows.
No.
No. Good for you. I went ahead and watched it. Good performances. What the fuck ever. But I have a problem, and my problem is this: a lot of people stood up last night and went after Donald Trump. Now, I'm of the opinion that doesn't do a whole lot of good, because you guys who are basically attending an award ceremony in dresses that cost more than your listeners make in 3 years, and jewelry and accessories included, and passing each other gold fucking statues to then say we're against oppression is not going to reach fucking anybody. But I will say this: the only way you earn that fucking right is if your art backs you up. If you are not Rage Against the Machine, shut your fucking mouth. If you're gonna be if you're gonna be anybody that comes out there and basically talks publicly about how we all need to stand up against Trump, and you, especially in music, this doesn't always apply to actors because you don't get to choose. These roles don't come across your desk every day. But if you're going to go off about Donald Trump, give your listeners something to listen to, because most of them don't give a fuck what you say on stage. But all that changed last night when A Tribe Called Quest came on the fucking stage with Busta Rhymes, and Busta Rhymes came out and gave Donald Trump, President Agent Orange, the fucking finger, and they came out and performed their single, which basically talks about everything that's going on. Basically, all the Mexicans have to leave, all the blacks have to leave, all the poor people have to leave. We hate Muslims, we hate gays. If your art does not back up your public persona, be like Adele and Bruno Mars and shut the fuck up. If you're just there for fucking music, do your goddamn music. But if your music is not containing a message and you're doing this whole scientific method bullshit, that way everything sounds the fucking same like it does nowadays, and all you do is repeat catchy fucking choruses with lyrics that have zero fucking substance, don't try to bring substance to the stage. Take your gold fucking award and shut the fuck up. All right, cool. I told you I had energy today. So,
amen.
Yeah, thank you. So, all right, that concludes AOR News. We'll be back later on this week for the Standing for Reason podcast. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at AOR_podcast, the Age of Reason Facebook, the Age of Reason podcast page on Facebook, and for everything else, AORpodcast.com. We will see you guys later this week.